This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show, a weekly broadcast that breaks down each Eagles game better than anyone else. The Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show is broadcasting live from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken and is heard on both 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM and is brought to you by SEPTA, Fogo de Show, the Great American Pub, Independence Blue Cross, and Grand Cafe L'Aquila. We now go live to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome, everybody, to the beautiful Great American Pub in Conshohocken on a rainy Monday night. A depressed Philadelphia getting ready for a playoff game. We continue to move on with the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. I am Paul Jolovitz. My co-host is Paul Domowitch. There are better days to be had, Damo, huh?
Yeah, that was pretty ugly yesterday. I don't think it's been a long time since I've seen a team go into the playoffs with, this kind of pessimism from its fans.
Going in reverse and losing 5 out of 6, all kinds of stuff to talk about this week with our guest, who deserves a lot of credit today. He is a guy that's done the Eagles color analysis with Merrill Reese for 27 years. I was pleased and honored to spend about 15 of those in the booth with him. Mike was honest yesterday. Merrill and Mike were honest. There's nothing you can do except call a spade, and they did. I'm sure it hurt. Mr. Mike Quick is our guest. Thanks for coming tonight, Mike.
Wow. Why, thank you, everyone. I didn't know I would get that.
When's the last time you had that much
nice
fun?
to join you guys again, man. You're two of the football minds in the area that I do listen to. I do like your...
Really?
You, of course. Damo, let me tell you. Like, when you were writing, every week, I could not wait until you did the Friday piece where you broke down both teams, because I used it every week. There was always something that you would put in there that I could use in the broadcast every week. I loved you as a writer. I always thought that you were like a fair guy, a guy who does his work. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm okay when Paul calls me to drive an hour and a half to come all the way out here to sit down with you guys for an hour to talk football.
We really appreciate it.
We really do appreciate it, Mike. Yesterday must have been, you've done this for a long time. Good Eagle teams, bad Eagle teams, beginning of season, end of season.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to use the most thing, the polar analogies, but was this the most disappointing game you've ever been a part of for whatever reason?
Yeah, just because it's right now, it's the most disappointing. But I've gone through disappointing games. Listen, I would say that we've had such a great period of football in Philadelphia for a long time, probably since the year 2000.
Yep.
If you really think about it, we've had a lot of really good football.
Since Andy.
And before that, think about like the years that I actually played. When I came into the league in 1982, we were used to miserable days like this. Through the 80s, dude, through the 80s, we had a lot of days like this where you would look at the team and say, man, what the heck are they doing?
But you look at the team, though, with the expectations now sky high, 10-1, best in the league, and now the thud that they finished with. To me, it's not just about the team, it's about where the expectations were, and the difference is just ginormous.
I get that, but just think back a little bit. This is not uncommon for us to have the feelings that we have because of what we've come from. But for 20 years now, and mostly Jeffrey Lurie's tenure as the owner, this has been a really good franchise and one of the better franchises in all of football and in all of sports, quite honestly. But yeah, yesterday hurt, and the week before hurt, because we know that there's some talent on this team, and to see the way they've played the last 2 weeks in particular, it's just, it breaks your heart.
Give us a sense of what these guys are feeling confidence-wise right now, headed into the playoffs.
Yeah.
After the last 6 weeks being so bad.
Donald, it's so hard because week to week you want to try and put your best stuff out there and you want to beat teams, but when you're unable to do that, it hurts, and it feels like it's been a long time since they had a win.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because I'm there watching it, but as a player, they've got to feel the same thing. Like, it's been a long time since we've felt and tasted victory. And these weeks are long weeks when you lose. You just can't wait to get to the next Sunday when you lose to try and get that taste out of your mouth. It feels bad. And it's hard to feel confident right now with the way they were beaten.
Mike, you're a preparation freak. I know that firsthand. You prepare like hell for these games. Do a great job. Next Monday night, obviously the Eagles face a tough task, righting the ship that's sailing toward the iceberg. We don't want to put you on the spot. Obviously, you have to do the game with Merrill. Is this fixable? I don't know how else to say it. Obviously, there's coaching problems, there's talent problems, there's locker room issues, there's believability issues, there's every issue you could have on a football team. They got to fix it overnight against a pretty decent Tampa Bay team, and if they're lucky enough to win that, much better teams. Is it fixable?
I don't know if it is at this point. They tried to fix it. The big move was 3/4 of the way through the season, you switched the coordinators because the defense had played so poorly. They played worse.
Yep.
They haven't gotten any better.
It's the players to me on
and
defense.
all that they're trying. Excuse me?
To me, it's all about the players on defense.
It's
the coaching
all
is
about the
all,
players?
Yeah, to me, Vince Lombardi couldn't coordinate this defense. The back seven, to me, stinks. I don't know how else to say it. I wish I was wrong. The front four is not playing well. The offense is more a coaching issue. To me, the defense is all about the talent, and no coordinator could get much out of these guys.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I mean, I agree that
I hope I'm wrong.
I agree that the talent is not great, but making the move they made, I mean, just look at the numbers.
Well, I agree with that 100%.
Since they put Matt Patricia in charge,
Bad.
These guys are lost out there. They're making mistakes as far as
Hassan's dropping the coverage. I get it, but the talent.
Well, no, the Hassan thing. Stop mentioning that. It's like irrelevant. I'm talking about like plays like yesterday, where guys are wide open in coverage. You blitz and there's a guy down. Robinson's down the sideline. That shouldn't happen. Those kind of things.
Yep.
And one of the reasons it's happening is because of the change in coaches.
That's right.
They're so confused. I'm not suggesting this is a good defense, but I'll let.
I don't
Mike
think
take
it's
it
like
there.
it's not a great defense, but there's some talent on the defense.
Sure.
Listen, I know that James Bradbury is not the fastest guy in the world, but James Bradbury last year had the same speed that he has now, but he played a heck of a lot better last year. I know that there's some talent that they lost, but with the guys that they were able to pick up, there's talent on this roster. I just think that the confusion, like you mentioned the play yesterday, you've got half the defense playing zone coverage and the other half playing man coverage. And the one side don't know what the other side's doing. So I'm playing zone inside, the outside guy's playing man. He runs across the field with one receiver and the other receiver's right here, and there's no one there to cover him.
Yeah.
So that is not a talent issue.
Well, let me ask you this. When you played, you were a 5-time All-Pro, great receiver. I'm sure you lined up at wide receiver sometimes where you saw the defense out of joint. When you would see a defense aligned like the Eagles were yesterday, where one man didn't know what the other was doing, you must have licked your chops whenever that happens.
So you don't know that right away when you line up, but when you come off the ball and you start to run, you're like, oh, something's wrong here. I'm just wide open. And then you just want to make sure you catch the ball because that's the hardest catch to make when you're just wide open.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the kid catches the ball and runs down the sideline and there's nobody there. So the defense is a problem. And here's the thing. As like people in the Philadelphia area, what we've grown up on, what we've used to having and seeing are great defenses. Like guys who could beat you up defensively. And that's what we like. That's what we love. We don't necessarily need to see an offense that can go up and down the field and put up 35 and 40 points. We want to see some guys who can beat people up.
Yep.
Because that's what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
We don't have that right now. In fact, I don't know if we have real, like these enforcer types on the defense. You want to have a guy at every level, the down linemen, the linebackers, and the defensive backs, the safeties and the corners. You want to have an all-pro guy and a real dog at all three levels of the defense. I don't think the Eagles have that right now. When you talk about the talent issue, yeah, there's some talent problems, but this goes a lot deeper than just the talent.
Early on, Mike, even before they made
I'm eating, by the way.
Before they
Great
made
food here at the pub, by the way.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Before they made the switch, the defense has never been, you realized early on that this was going to not be the strength of this team, but you believed that they had in my mind, I thought this could be like a Chiefs team a few years back when Andy's offense would just outscore people.
Yes.
He didn't have to have a great defense.
Yes.
Right now the defense is so bad. I don't know that the greatest show on turf could offset that. But
and the offense is.
But now the offense is struggling as well.
Yes.
What's going on?
It goes hand in hand.
What's going on with the offense? Yesterday, their problems with Wink Martindale's blitz was mentioned a lot. How does that happen? How do you not have? I'll let you take it.
So if you go back, any of the teams that majored in blitzing, this team had a problem with. If you major in blitzing against the Philadelphia Eagles and their offense, the way they play offense, you're going to have problems because of the way they adjust to.
Do they adjust?
The pressures.
To me, adjustments have been what Nick Sirianni has been completely lacking.
What they consider adjusting to the pressures, what we called site adjustments, where you had to alter your route when you knew that they were bringing more people than you can defend. That area of their game, it's something that teams have figured out, and they're going to hit you where it hurts because they figured it out. And you now have to have a counter to that, and that's what adjusting in football is all about. Yeah. It's a chess match, and once you understand that, okay, you're cornered in here, then you have to come up with an alternative, and that's what's lacking. That's what they have. They have to be able to figure out how to, when teams are pressuring them, when they're sending blitzes, sending more people than you have people to protect your quarterback, what do we do? How do we get out of that? The problem is when this offense first started to come around, it was very difficult to stop.
Yeah.
But when you have guys as smart as the coaches are in the National Football League, you give them a little bit of time, they'll figure out what you're doing, and they'll figure out a way to shut down what you do.
It seems to me, Mike, that somebody figured it out a few weeks ago with the zero blitzes, with a lot of different things, and they put it on tape, and then they figured it out, and they've been running the same defense a few weeks. The middle's been wide open without the linebackers. It seems like the defenses have adjusted, and multiple teams have had success waiting for the offensive counter adjustment, which hasn't come. Is that a ridiculously simple attitude, or is there some truth to that?
That's what I just said.
But no adjustment at all. Nothing. The zero blitz where the safety came from Cuba and whacked Jalen last night, to me that doesn't happen in high school football. I'm not sure Nick's here next year, I'll be honest with you. To me, the offense is a joke. It's very talented, but a joke. I feel bad for what Jalen has to deal with these days. And
well, back to your point earlier, you were talking about the lack of talent. Well, I believe that there's a lot of talent on this team on both sides of the ball.
Right.
I believe, but I just think that it takes a lot to get it out of players, especially when you start to lose. Yeah. It's hard to get it back on track. And you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to completely buy into it. It's so hard. This game is so hard to play. It's so hard to dedicate yourself to. It takes so much out of you.
Yeah.
You have to really believe in what you're doing.
What's Jalen feeling right now, do you think?
Pain.
Physical pain?
Yeah.
Mental anguish, confusion?
All of that stuff.
Throw in the expectations.
Listen, you just lost a horrible game. The week before, same thing, to teams that you're better than. You really should be better than. But on those particular days, that team was better than you were. So, yeah, you can't feel good about that. Jalen's not feeling good about that. None of these guys are.
Listening to Nick yesterday after the game, it was the first time in a long time I've listened to a coach. He said all the right things about getting up off the mat and all that stuff. But
sure.
I just don't know that he has the answers to give them right now to fix this, and I think the players probably know that, and that's a bad place to be right now.
Well, he's a young coach. I think he knows a lot of ball. I don't know if he's ever been in this type of situation.
Right.
I'm sure never at this level, because I know he hasn't been a professional coach for that long. But this is a tough situation to be in for a coach, and I don't know how you get yourself out of this situation
This quickly.
Yeah. You made the bold move to switch defensive coordinators or play callers, however you want to put it. He's not the coordinator, but he's running the defense every single day. He's the one that's making all the moves, all the adjustments, calling all the plays. He's your coordinator. You make that move, and it doesn't really do anything. It seems like, if anything, it went the other way. You really put yourself in a pickle there, and you have to try and figure out how to dig yourself out of it.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to try to dig ourselves out of it. We're going to talk about what people say versus what they do. Take a look at Tampa. Take a look around the NFL on Black Monday. Come on down, say hi to Mike Quick. This is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff from the beautiful Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Mike's enjoying a nice meal. You can too. Guy will cook it up for you. We're back with our show right after this. Stay with us.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
I'm always striving to live my healthiest life, so I need a health plan that has my back. With Independence Blue Cross, I get access to the largest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free virtual doctor visits 24/7. Plus, with premiums as low as $0 per month, I can stay on top of my health and keep my budget in check. Independence has given me coverage I can count on, and they'll do the same for you. Explore your coverage options and enroll today at ibx.com.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
Pests are a year-round problem, but it only seems to elevate in the fall. Thankfully, termite proofing and pest control can help you out. TPPC will help you get rid of household pests like spiders, bed bugs, roaches, and mice. TPPC only uses EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call them today at 215-639-5455. Again, that number, 215-639-5455 for termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
All right, this is the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM. Don't forget you can watch the show live at WBCBSports.com and YouTube Live by searching WBCB Sports. Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz, the two Eastern European Pauls, with Mike Quick here. One of the issues that I've been talking about all year, I talk about it on WIP all the time, Damo. I don't really care what people say. I know we go to press conferences and people always say the right thing. It's very easy to say the right thing. It's very easy if you're Nick to curse, to give these let's get back off the mat speeches. I could bleep and care less about those speeches. I care about what you do, Mike. What you say means nothing. For the 19th time this week, we got to treat it as 0-0. You should have done that 3 weeks ago. I care about what people do and not what they say. How do you feel about that? Obviously, you say a lot of things, media requirements in the NFL. I care what they do when they get on the field next week. What they say goes in one ear and out the other. Fair or unfair?
Was that for me?
I guess, because that's a little too deep for me.
Well, I don't care what you say. What you say is easy.
Well, Coach has to say something.
He has to say something.
Yeah, what does he do? Just like I'm done, throw up his hands. He's got to say whatever is best to say for him at the moment.
Put it this way. When I've heard a million coaches talk. I've heard less translation from what they say to what they do from Nick Sirianni than almost anybody else.
The only thing that matters is what he's saying to the guys in the locker room.
Yeah.
And we don't know what he's saying to them and whether they're buying it. I mean, that's kind of where.
Yeah, because what he says to us really doesn't matter.
Correct.
And it's really like
that's theater.
If I'm a coach, I'm not going to tell you what's going on inside of my huddle.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to tell you what my strategy is. I'm not going to tell you about my players. I'm not going to tell you about the issues that we have. I'm not going to tell you about whatever I think we're great at, our strengths are. I'm going to tell you enough to allow you to feel like I've had a conversation with you and I let you in a little bit, but I'm not really going to tell you what you want to know.
And that was Andy, and that's most coaches. Belichick,
that's what coaches do.
It is.
Yeah.
Except Belichick, he doesn't tell you anything. He says absolutely nothing. Imagine Bill coaching in Phil. Someone mentioned that to me. Oh, they're going to fire Nick and Bill Belichick. Like, really? Imagine Bill in Philadelphia dealing with the Philadelphia media. How much fun would that be, Charlie?
To me, it'd be a lot of fun because he's going to win with them. I don't care what they say. I care what they do.
He's doing a terrific job of winning right now, isn't he?
Well, Andy Reid was 4-12 the year before he got the Kansas City job. Don Shula had terrible years.
You don't want Bill Belichick.
Bill
here.
Belichick
Yes, I do.
No.
He hasn't won since he lost his quarterback.
Yeah.
Because the quarterback they drafted to replace him stunk. To me, it's not that simple. To me, it's Brady chose a Tampa Bay team.
But look at the decisions he's made. I mean, you think putting Matt Patricia in charge of this defense 4 weeks ago is a nightmare. He put Matt Patricia in charge of his offense, for God's sakes.
I think Belichick will win wherever I don't think he's the coach he was 10 years ago, but I think he'll win wherever he goes, and I think he'll pick it out. But that's Black Monday. Plenty of stuff about that to talk about, guys. Where the injuries yesterday, Mike, A.J. Brown, I mean, to put more soup on the fire. Sidney with the torn ACL.
Sidney Brown, yeah.
Sidney Brown, the Brown boys. Cam Jurgens with the eye injury. Now you got Jalen Hurts with a finger. Where do you think all the injuries spin around coming into next week, and how healthy will they be?
So I'm a little bit concerned about all of them because, AJ's your best player on offense, basically, and I certainly hope he can play. You don't want to go into the game with Quez and just Julio, Devontae, if Devontae's able to play, and what are you going to be left with?
Yeah.
Britt Covey? Is he going to be the slot target now?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm hoping that none of the injuries are that serious. I'm a little concerned about the quarterback and his middle finger. Because I know if his hand's not healthy, it's going to be tough to spin the ball. Fortunately, they're going to go to, hopefully, a place where the weather is good. That might work in their favor, but the injuries are a concern.
Now, when they went down there in Week 3, they beat Tampa 25-11. They did it mainly
different team.
Yeah, they did it mainly with a running game that I think Swift ended up with 130 yards. They finished to 200 total.
First big game.
Yep. But again, you're right. This is a different Tampa team. I mean, they haven't. Their run defense is much better than it was back then.
Way better.
I mean, what do they have to do to beat them?
So I think, Tampa scored, 9 points yesterday?
Yeah.
Couldn't score any points.
3 field goals.
But, they still have Mike Evans. They got Chris Godfrey. They've got really good, skilled players.
And Carolina's got a much better defense than this team does.
Carolina's defense got after them, and they can really get after you.
Yeah.
So they've got a halfback that's almost a 1,000-yard rusher. Both of their wide receivers are 1,000-yard receivers. They've got some of the smartest minds in defense in all of football. They don't turn it over very much.
Turnovers are such an issue, guys. Takeaways, what's going on with that? I mean, how do you take the ball away as little as the Eagles do? What happened this year? I mean, I know we talk about Jalen turning the ball over, but takeaways the other way have been almost non-existent. I know we had pick six one game and scoop and score the other game, but it seems like even those got lost in the shuffle.
When you are so uncertain about what you're supposed to be doing like they are, there's no aggressiveness, there's no anticipation, they're not looking for takeaways because they're trying to figure out what the hell their next move is going to be. Yeah. And it's affecting the takeaways. I mean, they're just not as aggressive because of that.
To that point, when you hear coaches talk about playing fast, they play fast when they know what they're doing and they're not hesitant. They're sure about their assignments and where they're going. They don't take false steps. They don't hesitate. You know, it only takes many times a split second for you to get out leverage or lose the position that you should have. And once you're out of position, you're going to lose most times in the National Football League. Guys are too good.
They are. I'm going to ask you about a guy that is too good. I'm going to kind of go off the script and out of order a little bit here. You played with him, I think, for a year. He's a first-time finalist for the Hall of Fame now, 54 interceptions. One of the nicest guys that ever lived, a tremendous player.
Yep.
EA Eric Allen, Damo's a Hall of Fame voter. What was it like to go up against EA in practice, Mike, and what do you think of his chances?
So Eric Allen, I think he was around the time that I realized, okay, Father Time is catching up to me. I remember lining up against EA, and in press coverage, I was a big receiver, and I was able to most of the times get guys out of my way and get off the ball and run my route. Well, when Eric came around, he was one of the first guys that was able to get his hands on me and cause me problems. And that's when I started thinking, okay, well,
what do I want to do next?
This guy must be pretty good.
Broadcasting, here we come, right?
And then I started to really realize it, and I said, okay, this guy's real. No, Eric Allen was one of the best, even as a young player, one of the best corners that I had played against. And he just continued to grow. Even when he left Philadelphia, went to play for the Raiders. Yeah. Still, he didn't miss a beat. He was such a talented guy.
I think like his next to last year in Oakland, he had 3 or 4 pick sixes.
Yeah.
At the age of like 35.
I think he had a couple in Philly too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean,
he had one that was inside that he caught in the end zone and went took it back the distance.
Yeah, with the one he handed to, I think it was against the Jets, where he handed the ball to Randall, who was in the tunnel.
Oh yes, after he scored. That's right. That's exactly right.
You ever play with
Eric was great. Eric was a great player, and I think he's worth. When I look at a lot of the guys that are in the Hall of Fame, I think he's Hall of Fame worthy.
You ever play with a nicer guy? Because to me, he's Brandon Graham 30 years ago. Just an unbelievable human being.
Yeah, I agree. He's that type of character.
Yeah. Well, I've got to make a presentation for him next week at the selection committee meeting, and I decided to go to people that he played against, who would carry some clout. And so I talked to Troy Aikman about him. Troy Aikman said, "This is easy. I mean, he belongs in." The guy not only was a great cornerback, but he was one of the smartest cornerbacks you ever played against.
Yep.
Guy kept notebooks on players.
Yep.
Knew everything about the guy that he was going up against.
Yep.
And also the other day I talked to Phil Simms. Same thing. Says this one's not hard.
Slam dunk.
Parcells would tell me if I threw to Eric's side, he was going to be in my face when I got to the sidelines.
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a second, because I agree with you guys. But I mean, this is 30 years. He's had ample opportunity. If he's slam dunk from Phil Simms and Troy Aikman, 2 Hall of Fame, one Hall of Famer and one maybe Hall of Famer. But if it's such an easy,
Well, it's his 18th year of eligibility.
Did he play with guys who were better than he was? Was his personality not strong enough? Why wasn't he an easy first, second, third ballot kind of guy?
In my opinion, a couple things. One, he didn't win a Super Bowl, and there's too many people on the selection committee that put emphasis on guys who played on Super Bowl winners. I mean, if you look at the Super Bowl, if you look at Canton, you look at the Hall of Fame, there are a ton of busts in there, maybe undeservingly, that belong to Green Bay Packers, Dolphins, Steelers
for sure.
Just went overboard on guys So that's hurt him. The other thing is he played 88 to 94 in Philly. I mean, on one of the greatest defenses of the generation.
Yep.
Then he goes, but he spends the rest of his career with two different other teams, including New Orleans, which was an awful decision because they were just becoming a bad team at the time, gotten old. So he spent 3 years there and kind of disappeared. Even though he played well, the team didn't play well. And then he went to Oakland where he did play well. But Buddy died, Bud Carson died. He didn't have a lot of people that coached him who were able to be his spokesman for him, and I think that hurt him.
Wishing great things for Eric Allen next week. Also, Jeree Evans from Bloomsburg, from Philadelphia, up for the Hall of Fame. They'll release that the Saturday before the Super Bowl.
Oh, Jeree's on the list.
Jeree's a finalist, yep.
Huh.
Hopefully the Eagles will be
Very
in Vegas.
cool.
It'll be a long shot. We're talking to Mike Quick about it. When we come back, we'll talk around the league about the playoffs, about who's in, who's out, about Baker Mayfield.
Playoffs?
What the Eagles can do. Playoffs. Jim Mora's not in it this year. Probably not going to be in it anymore. Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff continues from the pub right after this. Stay with us.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
Millions of Americans are losing their medical assistance or Medicaid coverage. If this affects you, Independence Blue Cross can help. You may be eligible to enroll in a health plan for as little as $0 a month. With Independence Blue Cross, you get the largest provider network in the area, including most Keystone First doctors and hospitals. We also offer free 24/7 telemedicine, coverage for hospital stays and prescriptions. See if you qualify for $0 health insurance and enroll today. Call Independence Blue Cross at 1-844-464-2583 or visit ibx.com/staycovered.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
The cooler weather has its pest problems such as spiders, bed bugs, roaches, and mice. These problems can be fixed easily and inexpensively with termite proofing and pest control. Call now at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
All righty, Black Monday, couple NFL coaches on the unemployment line. We'll talk about them, including one that Merrill's very close to. We're here with Paul Domowitch and Mike Quick. Mike, I think I've found what ails the Eagles. Tongue-in-cheek slightly here, but a great guy. Who was suspended for the rest of the regular season. He'll be back in Tampa. Will Big Dom have an effect next week?
Yeah, the Big Dom effect is real. Ever since the league put Big Dom in the tunnel, not allowing him on the sideline,
ridiculous.
They've been a different team.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, Big Dom will be back. He should be back for the playoffs. And, free Big Dom.
All right. Domo, I know Eagles – Nick Sirianni's found them in year one. We'll talk more about Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield in a second, but there's a guy who plays the same position as Mayfield I know you have a question about.
Yeah, I talked to Mike about this a couple weeks ago when I was doing a story on Jalen for the 33rd team. he's just had a weird year. I mean, clearly the turnovers are the biggest problem he's had this year. But he's looked so good at times.
Yes.
But the consistency has been the biggest problem with him, hasn't it?
Yeah. This season has been a strange type of season, and if you watch the way he has played, that he's contributed a lot in just the way he's played, because early in the season it looked like it was going to be, at times it looked like last year, where they could move the ball up and down the field on teams, but they didn't do enough of that. But they did show you the ability to win close games. So then you would say, or I would say, oh, they know how to close. They know how to finish games. They know how to do. And there was just a variety of things that they were doing early on and winning games. But when you look back, many of those games, there's one or two plays that could have changed the line.
Yeah.
That, when Dallas played in Philadelphia, if the quarterback doesn't step out of bounds on that one play where Brandon Graham was trying to run him down, in the Kansas City game, a dropped pass, there are many games where it's just one play, one little small thing could have changed the ledger.
Yeah.
So it has been a strange season. And to see where they are, based on what we saw in the early part of the season, probably right after the first quarter of the season, and we really felt really good about this team, and to see where they are now, it's more than disheartening.
Mike, your career ended because of injury. The Eagles have 3.
My career ended because I got old.
Well, you only played 8 years, though. You could have played.
I got old. I finally said something you like.
3 guys who have played their career with the Eagles: Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham. The Eagles could play a home championship game if they get there, and the 6th or 7th seed is still alive. But
how about that?
Yeah, they could.
There's a chance that the Eagles could win and play a home playoff game.
Only in the championship game.
Not
second week, but Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and obviously Jason Kelce, with what they've done this year, what you think each one's thinking, who's played potentially their last home game as an Eagle and may not be back, and who do you think gives them another round to go, whether it's with the Eagles or anybody else?
Yeah, that's a heavy one. I do believe that Brandon Graham, as much as we love him, I think that this may be his last go-around. And it's funny, I thought about that driving out here, because I was really thinking about Kelce, and I was thinking, that the last time we saw him at Lincoln Financial may be the last time that we see him, because I believe that there's a strong chance that he might want to take it to the house and just play with his kids. He's got 3 beautiful girls at home. Spend more time with his kids, spend time outside of the game, and start to look at other things. The game takes so much out of guys.
Yeah.
And for Kelce to work in the trenches as long as he's been in the trenches, at some point you gotta say, okay, enough is enough. And I think, I actually hope for his sake, because I know what it can do to you. I'm hoping that he decides to move on.
The surprise for me has been, a lot of people have put their eyebrows up when the Eagles re-signed Fletcher Cox this year.
Yeah.
Whether Fletcher wants to keep going, but if you had said to me, it's arguable. Jalen Carter obviously could be in this mix as well.
No.
Hassan Reddick, but
he's been the best defensive lineman.
That's unbelievable. Does he have one more? To me, if there's one guy that's going to go somewhere else, I don't think he's going to get the big money from Howie. You think he keeps playing, and where do you think it is if he does?
So I think Fletcher will be one of these guys, if he wants to, he can sit at home through training camp, through all of the nonsense, and wait till the regular season starts, very similar to what Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh did last year for this team.
Yeah.
And I think he can sit and wait for the right phone call and then decide to join the team once the regular season starts, and he can still make a lot of money.
Yeah. You were talking about Jason.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of these guys, this is going to be an easier call because, this year you knew they were going to be in the playoff hunt. You knew they had a legitimate chance to maybe get back to the Super Bowl or hopefully get back to the Super Bowl.
Right.
After this year, I think they're going to be looking at the future. They're going to be looking at cheaper labor, younger players, collecting draft picks.
Not a great cap situation.
Maybe taking a step back for a year or two. And, if you're Jason Kelsey, that's not appealing to you. I mean,
correct.
So, I think it's going to make it easier for guys like that to say goodbye.
Well, then if you watch the Kelsey documentary, and I did, and I thought it was outstanding. I think it pulls back the curtains on a lot of what guys deal with, the family dynamics, the kids, all the things that you deal with when you are an NFL player. I think a lot of that was exposed in that documentary. And if you have loved ones who play football, watch the Jason Kelsey documentary because it tells you a whole lot.
How much is the cap going to play into obviously Howie's got to think about the back seven, linebackers, safeties, re-signing everybody else, the draft, free agency, throw it in the blender. Eagles have what kind of cap flexibility with Jalen's?
They'll be okay cap-wise next year. Jalen's contract really doesn't become
Year two.
For a couple of years yet. And at that point, they'll probably redo it anyway. So they're going to have flexibility. It's just that, you don't want to start adding more, restructuring deals and adding money into the future that's going to kill you down the road. So I think that's why this year, they're going to get rid of a lot of the older players and try to kind of, try to get younger.
And it's time.
Yeah.
You really have to.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to look at the offensive line now. I thought the smart move was bringing in Landon Dickerson and
Cam
Jurgens, bringing in those two guys, getting them all ready to where you know that they're going to be able to be starters for a long time. Jordan Mailata, who's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
But when you look at Lane Johnson, when you look at Jason Kelsey, you have to start thinking about this is what happens. Yeah. This is what happens in the National Football League. Guys get old, and when you get old, you can't play. It's a game for young men with young, strong legs.
NFL, not for long, and not for long really applies to coaches more than anybody else, guys. Black Monday today. Obviously, John Harbaugh, number one seed in the AFC, former Eagle. Merrill's pretty close to him, but Merrill's really close, Mike. And obviously, Josh Harris plays in the Sixers owner to Ron Rivera, who celebrated his 62nd birthday yesterday.
And got fired today.
Arthur Smith also. We had three teams that made changes in season. Dom and I were talking a couple more moves could be headed forward, but Ron Rivera especially, the man, not the football coach. What do you know about Ron Rivera, Mike?
Oh, he's a great man. I actually played against Ron when I was a player and got to know him really well when he came to Philadelphia as a coach, an assistant coach, and
he was in Chicago then,
just an awesome dude. Yeah, he was in Chicago when I played against him. But just an awesome dude. And I think if he wants to continue to coach, that he'll coach. It may not be a head coach, and he probably at this point doesn't want to be a head coach. But I could see him working with the team as a senior advisor, defensive mind. A lot of these teams now,
it's become a cottage industry.
Absolutely, they'll have their entire staff, but they've also got a couple of advisors
Look
that
at
are
Matt Patricia.
Senior advisors who kind of sit in meetings and give them a different eye, a different voice on some of the things that they're doing, and sometimes that's valuable stuff.
All right, Tom, look at the landscape, and you have the Belichick question, which we'll talk about in a second, but who's the hot coordinator this year that everybody has to have with a team that has a good offense or defense, teams looking? Who's that guy that everybody's going to be looking at this year, the Sean McVay, the Kyle Shanahan of 2024?
The guy that's playing tonight with Washington State.
The head
Washington,
coach?
Yeah. He's 104-11 as head coach. Kalen DeBoer.
Well, you got Harbaugh for starters. I mean, he's going someplace.
Both those guys.
Both those guys. Ben Johnson, the coordinator of the Lions.
Ben Johnson.
Used steroids in the Olympics, came back as an NFL coach and did pretty well.
Dan Quinn is going to have some options.
You just will always take it to a different level.
That was Ben Johnson.
A different Ben Johnson.
A different Ben Johnson, yep. Dan Quinn is an interesting one, Damo. Is Dan Quinn loyal to McCarthy for another? How about McCarthy? Does McCarthy, he gets upset by Green Bay. Is he on the safe list?
He's not loyal. I think he stuck around because he thought he might have that might be his job this year.
Well,
right?
Dallas chokes game one. Is Jerry Jones staying with McCarthy?
Right now, anything's possible. I mean, Jerry's getting up in age. He knows he doesn't have a lot of time to win another Super Bowl. So, but I don't see McCarthy going. But I mean, Quinn had at least two job opportunities last year, including Denver before they hired Peyton, turned it down. I think he also had a chance to take the Carolina or Detroit job. Not Detroit, Carolina and Indianapolis. Decided to stay in Dallas, but I think if he wants to be a head coach, this is when he'll have his golden opportunity.
I think he tried that, and a lot of these guys, once they taste the head coaching thing and realize that it's not all that it's cracked up to be.
Especially if they're paying you a bunch to be a coordinator.
Right, and if you're really, really good, and Dan Quinn is, he's one of the best D coordinators in football, and you're really, really good, and they're going to pay you very handsomely to be the coordinator.
He's an X and O guy.
Why take on the headache of being a head coach? Because there's a lot of headaches that goes along with that.
Yeah.
A lot.
There's a guy that's been dealing with those headaches for a long time, won 6 Super Bowls. We'll talk about him after the break, as well as look at the other playoff games in the NFL this weekend. Will Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft come to an agreement to leave, or is Belichick going to stay with change the responsibility? We'll talk about that and the rest of the playoff picture. Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff with Mike Quick, my co-host Paul Domowitch. Glad to be at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Final segment follows this. Thanks for being here.
Since 1991, the Great American Pub in Conshohocken has been offering an authentic and memorable experience for guests looking to dine in or enjoy the bar and nightlife. Located at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken, the Great American Pub has all your craft beer selections and some of the best food options anywhere. While you're there trying their buffalo chicken spring rolls or Maryland crab cakes, enjoy your favorite sporting events on their numerous televisions surrounding the bar. Visit them at 123 Fayette Street in Conshohocken or learn more online at thegreatamericanpub.com.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
Pests are a year-round problem, but it only seems to elevate in the fall. Thankfully, termite proofing and pest control can help you out. TPPC will help you get rid of household pests like spiders, bed bugs, roaches, and mice. TPPC only uses EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call them today at 215-639-5455. Again, that number, 215-639-5455 for termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
We now return to the Great American Pub in Conshohocken for the Independence Blue Cross Monday Night Kickoff Show. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Domowitch and Paul Jolovitz.
And we want to thank everybody who's come out all year to our show here at the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Give yourself a round of applause. Great crowds, and we love you coming here. The Great American Pub has had us. We'll be here next week and hopefully a few more weeks. We'll continue as long as Eagles rock and roll. Next Monday night at 6 in advance of the game at 8. Paul Domowitch with us now, and Mike Quick, our guest. Either one of you guys, both of you actually. Bill Belichick, once the meeting occurs, regardless of how they try to sanitize, he's not going to fire him. Next year, game 1, Bill Belichick, coaching the Patriots or not, Domo?
Not.
Mike, what do you think?
Nope.
Does he coach somewhere else next year? It seems to me you talk about Dan Quinn, Belichick's a guy, doesn't live for the required responsibilities, but lives to coach.
I'm going to put him in L.A. with the Chargers.
Ooh.
Justin Herbert finally has another all-pro quarterback.
That's the job everybody wants, isn't it?
Well, he's the guy who can have it if he wants it.
Yeah. Harbaugh.
That's very interesting, Domo.
I think Belichick's going to coach the Chargers.
I think he's going to coach again. It's hard to I can't even imagine where, but I do believe.
He broke up with his girlfriend. So he's got nothing
going
on right now.
He probably sold a boat when he broke up with her.
Yeah.
Harbaugh going to be coaching the NFL next year? John already is. Jim already met him in the Super Bowl.
John could be down. Let's see, Jim. Then there's John.
Right.
So Jim could be down right next door to his brother. He could be in Washington.
I like that.
Harbaugh family dinners. Any
He
other?
could be right next to his brother. He could easily, like Baltimore, Washington, the Harbaughs.
Yeah.
Running that turf.
You trust Josh Harris, Damo?
Huh?
You trust Josh Harris as an NFL owner to do the right thing? He's hired everybody and anybody to.
Well, I trust him more than Dan Snyder. So.
Is Tepper the new Dan Snyder?
He's like a big upgrade from Dan Snyder.
Is David Tepper Dan Snyder with a different name, Mike?
Oh, I don't know.
Coaches he's gone through, the lack of patience.
He doesn't know he has no clue. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
At least I'll give him like a little bit of a break and let him get a few more years under his belt.
Yeah.
But he just has no idea.
I give Josh Harris credit for just keeping his mouth shut, letting this season play out before he did anything stupid.
Stayed out of the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's going to pay a lot of money, whether it's Harbaugh or whoever he hires. Probably going to be, thanks to Belichick, the richest coach hired.
He's going after Harbaugh.
Speaking of Coach of the Year, guys, speaking of coaches, we did on John and the Loon Friday, Merrill Reese, myself, and Billy Wendell named 2 coaches for Coaches of the Year. We named 6 different people. Nobody had anybody even in their top 2. There's a lot of candidates this year. I'd vote for Dan Campbell. D'Amico Ryans and others. Who do you vote for, Mike?
Both those names come to mind right away because D'Amico Ryans has done an unbelievable job. Shane Steichen.
That's another good possibility.
Yeah. That's a real strong possibility, especially if they get
the Browns guy.
Looks great here now after last year.
Yeah, the Browns have had a really good season.
Does a guy like John Harbaugh, Damo, have any shot, or do you have to take someone from nowhere to mediocrity? If you take someone to the number 1 seed, it seems like you have no chance.
Baltimore's got such a good team.
Yeah,
I would say that it's not going to be Harbaugh.
I think Eric DaCosta, who's their GM, probably has a better chance of winning Executive of the Year.
Yes.
Than John does Coach of the Year. I mean, the best move John made was hiring Todd Monken as his offensive coordinator. He's made such a difference.
That is exactly right.
With Lamar Jackson.
What about Kevin Stefanski, our Penn guy in Cleveland?
That's what I
said. Cleveland's
yeah.
They have to be in the conversation.
All right, we have the Cleveland Browns kicking off the postseason with Joey Flacco. Saturday at 4:30, we have the game at 8 o'clock on streaming services. I don't really want to give them credit by giving their name, Peacock. Mike, doesn't the NFL make enough money? Do they need to milk fans again with a Saturday night playoff game that they can't watch? Come on. Don't they have enough?
I think you just answered your question.
Yeah.
So, Tom, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the worst is yet to come. I mean, they're going to, they flexed Monday night this year. The Eagles were victims of that.
Yep.
I think that they put off flexing Thursday night games, and that's going to be the next step along with 18-game schedule. I mean they're going to squeeze every buck they can get, and there's a lot of money to be made. So.
And the NFL already owned Sunday. That was the NFL's day. Then they started to take over Monday, and now it's Thursday night.
College football is done Saturday.
And then as soon as college football is over, then they jump into Saturday or right before. They started jumping into Saturday, so
All right, before we get an Eagles pick, all of us can pick. You can recuse yourself, Mike, if you like. Give me one game that intrigues you this weekend of the 6 outside the Eagle game, 5 outside the Eagle game. To me, it's Houston and Cleveland. I think that's going to be a terrific football game.
That's the game So I thought Cleveland right away with Flacco, man. How many lives does Joe Flacco have?
Yeah, that's a great story.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So he goes he's a right situation, right time, and he's a quarterback who's seen it all. So having these talented, skilled players around him, the receivers, running backs, tight end, I just think it's a perfect situation for him. Not only that, the young quarterback can learn a lot, will learn a lot. Watching Joe Flacco, it's just going to make Cleveland even stronger going forward, that you have someone now who can show this guy this is how this offense can run, can operate.
Damo, I went to school with Steve Flacco. Joe's dad had been good friends forever and ever and ever. I was talking to Steve in the middle of November about Joe sitting on his couch waiting for something. If you told me that 6 weeks later he'd be sitting out the last game of a season waiting for the playoffs with a team with a lot of mojo going in, NFL not for long. You never know, do you?
It's an amazing story, and you look around the league at some of the other guys that people have turned to, and you know, Flacco was sitting there, and he's turned out to be a find. You know, you mentioned games that are intriguing. Mine's going to be Miami and Kansas City.
Oh, that's fun.
It'll be pretty cold there.
Yeah, that's fun.
Dolphins suddenly find themselves in they've gone from top of the heap to losing that Bills game. Now they got to go and play in 10-degree weather.
Yeah.
In Kansas City, but it's going to be Tyreek going back home to the Chiefs. It's going to be an interesting game. See if Andy can keep it going.
But Kansas City can. They don't know. From week to week, you don't know what you're going to get out of Kansas City. They are just crazy.
Yeah.
Give Mahomes many receiving targets this year, Mike, huh?
Well, that's an issue. They'll get over that.
Yeah. And you look at Baltimore with Zay Flowers had a great rookie year.
Yeah.
And Edwards, you have Roquan Smith on defense. I think Baltimore's loaded. I'm without the Eagles in the mix, and obviously I wish with every fiber of my being that the Eagles go all the way. To me, Baltimore's the best team in the NFL. Doesn't mean they'll win, but Lamar, he's got to erase those playoff demons. But I think he's going to, guys.
So, with that said, can you guys, who are going to be the two teams in the Super Bowl?
Baltimore and San Francisco.
Is that what you think, John?
I think San Francisco's getting beat, and I don't know why, because they're the best team in the NFC. I'm going to say Baltimore and Green Bay. I think something's coming out of nowhere this year.
Whoa!
Boy, that is out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You didn't mention the team in Texas, so you don't think much of them in the postseason? Houston?
No, I think that's a possibility. But I just think that they're destined to always come up short with it.
They always figure out a way to screw it up.
All right, we got 1 minute left. Mike, you're going to be down in Tampa. Everybody here is going to be rooting for us, and fans traveling. Sean,
we're going to Tampa.
We're gonna
on to Tampa.
Gonna beat Tampa.
On to Tampa.
Damo, Mike's recusing himself.
I'm gonna not make friends here, but I just think it's gonna be a close game. But I don't think they're gonna win. I don't think they're gonna be able to run it like they did in Week 3, and I think Baker's playing a lot better now than he did back then. So I just think it's gonna be tough.
All right, we will see. What the heck? We'll have another show before then. I'll give my pick then. I got to look at things, look at the injuries.
What?
I'm just not sure. They've driven me to the
point
where
what is this?
I'm just not sure. I'm not a homer, Mike. I've never been a homer. I don't.
Thank you, Sean.
Sean Young, one of our audience members, just had a seizure. Looks like he'll be okay. That's great stuff. Hopefully there's more of that in Tampa. Next Monday night, we'll be here at 6 o'clock. Mike Quick, thank you so much for traveling forever to get here and joining us. It's been a blast.
Enjoyed hanging out with you guys.
Thanks
for sure.
Thanks, Damo. Thanks for being here. Next Monday at 6, let's do it again.
You betcha.
Playoff start. You can always dream, right? Eagles start on Monday night. Chris Summers produced this fine program. Gus Barber back at the station. For Mike Quick, Paul Domowitch, my name is Paul Jolovitz. Thanks for being here. The Independence Monday Night Kickoff from the Great American Pub in Conshohocken. Have a great week, everybody, and go Eagles!